Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Calisthenics. Today, on March 8th, we commemorate the second day of Great Lent, and we will again look into the works of Isaiah, Proverbs, and Genesis. So again, I'm not going to read the entirety of Isaiah. It is prophecies talking about destruction and rebellion, but what is significant for us will be the last line, which is, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." So there's a couple of things at play here. First and foremost, the Orthodox Study Bible tells us that the mountain is a symbol of the church, which will proclaim God's way to all the Gentiles. Now, there's a couple of other things here. First of all, who is the God of Jacob? Jacob is the son of Isaac, and Isaac is the son of Abraham. So this would be Abraham's grandson. Now, Jacob, before he met with his twin brother Esau, whose inheritance he had, some would say stole, some would say bartered, but either way, he took Esau's inheritance, and Esau was very upset about this. And Jacob was very nervous about how he was going to deal with this challenge. And the night before he met with his brother, he wrestled with what he thought was an angel at first, but it was not an angel, it was the Lord. And after the wrestling of God, at which point God made Jacob limp for the rest of his life, he changed his name to Israel. And that is why we are the people of Israel. Now, what do we mean by the mountain of the Lord? The very first way that God revealed himself to the people, the projection of his revelation was as El Shaddai, the God of the mountain. And so this was when God was just understood as one of many gods. He's the God of the mountains, that's the God of the fields, but El Shaddai is the God of the mountains. It was only through revelation and time that we begin to understand that this God is the God, that there are no other gods. And so out of this, we see that the mountain now is the church itself, that unbreakable fortress, that buttress of faith. That is the church. That is the real mountain. Now, if we go to Genesis, we continue with the story of creation. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years, and let them be lights in the firmament of the heavens, and give light upon the earth." Now these lights that we understand are planets. And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, the sun and the moon, of course. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth and across the firmament of the heavens." And again, this following the, as we said yesterday, the procedure of the Big Bang is that now that we have planets and we have orbits, well, orbits is how we have tides. It's how we have life moving in us, and that would allow organisms to begin to grow. And so this is how we're having swarms of living creatures, first starting with the seas, and then birds. As many people understand, dinosaurs were understood better as birds, that they would have had feathers. "And let them fly above the earth and across the firmament of the heavens. So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply in the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day." Now again, we're conjecturing here. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that this is talking about the age of the dinosaurs before we get to the age of mammals and man. But this is basically stating the progression of how creation was happening. Now, let's get to my favorite, which is Proverbs. Wisdom cries aloud in the streets. In the market she raises her voice. On the top of the wall she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates she speaks. So in other words, wisdom, and wisdom in this case, Sophia, is Christ, is trying everywhere, calling out everywhere. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? We have to understand here, simple here doesn't mean pure. It means dumb. How long are you going to be ignorant? How long are you going to follow dumb ideologies? Give heed to my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make my words known to you. Remember that Christ our God is the Word of God, wisdom incarnate. He wants to give us his wisdom. Because I have called and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, and you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when panic strikes you. When panic strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. The idea of mocking the foolish in the sense that you were given opportunities to save yourself. You were given tools that you could prevent these things, and you wouldn't do it. You scoffed, you mocked. You said that this was stupidity when it was actually wisdom. And so God will laugh too when these calamities hit because we mocked God. Then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me. And again, this is allegorical to God, but we're talking about wisdom at this point. And wisdom is not something that can just be snatched in a moment. It's something that has to be acquired over time with understanding. And so we can call for wisdom. We can call for the ability to think clearly. But when we're in the middle of our calamity, that's not the time for that. We would be ready for the calamity. We would be ready to prepare ourselves if we had acquired wisdom prior. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, and would have none of my counsel, and despised all my reproof, therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way, and be sated with their own devices. In other words, God is going to say to these people, I tried. You wanted it this way? Well, you made this bed, now you have to lie in it. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacence of fools destroys them. In other words, and we're talking about here not just the idea of physical death, but spiritual death. The complacency of fools destroys them. We are killed by turning away from God. When we sin amartia means to miswitness, to opposite martyria, witness, to turn away from God. That's what leads to death. Indeed, the first death through Adam and Eve came from sin itself. All death comes from sin. And the complacency of this stupidity leads to more death. But he who listens to me, to wisdom, to God, will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of evil. This is important. I've often said this in my counseling sessions. The most dangerous punch in boxing, it's not the uppercut, it's not the right straight, it's not a jab, it's the punch you don't see coming. Wisdom teaches us how to look for those things, how to be aware of what is coming for us. And when you know what is coming for you, you're able to protect yourself, to put on your guard, to be ready for the eventualities of what might happen. And so when even calamities come, and even when issues come that are beyond your control, because you have wisdom, because you have guarded yourself and know how to stabilize your mind, even when those things come, you know how to deal with them. That's what wisdom does. I pray that you've enjoyed today's spiritual calisthenics, and I hope that day 2 of your Lenten journey goes very well for you. God bless.